Well, I'm out here towards the end of February. Dual purpose today. Going to change cards in my trail cams and also trying out some HOK skis. HOK meaning HOK skis. They're a backcountry ski. I'll give you a few more details on it when I stop at my hunting blind. But big shout out to Mike Schultz for letting me use these for a couple of days. They are on the pricey side, so to have a chance to try them out and see what I like and don't like about them is really invaluable before I decide to purchase a pair of these. But I'll give you some insight and a little description and a mini review of them here in a few minutes. Out here at the end of February to do a couple of things out at the hunting property. One, change some cards in my trail cams, and two, to check out these HOK skis. I've seen them advertised on Facebook and on YouTube and a couple other places, and they kind of piqued my interest a little bit. A little bit of background about me. I've skied hundreds of backcountry miles since 1978, primarily in the Spear National Forest and Boundary Waters Canoe area, a little bit up in the Quetico. A lot of winter camping, some winter fishing, and just plain some touring in the backcountry just to get out and see what the country is like on a particular day. So I have done a lot of skiing. I have a lot of experience. I know what's going to work for me and what isn't going to work for me. I've gone through a lot of skis over the years. I've had half a dozen pair of touring skis. I've had a couple of different pair of backcountry skis. Primarily, probably the best ones I have are a set of Carahus that have metal edges on them that are a little bit wider, quite long, but took many trips into the backcountry with those. And then I also have a pair of old wooden army skis that are probably in the 205, 210 millimeter range or centimeter range with Berwyn bindings. So that really has been my primary backcountry ski these last few trips into the Boundary Waters. So to take a look at what these HOK skis are and how they compare to what I already have is something that's really important to me. What makes these HOK skis interesting is that they're a wide ski, metal-edged, relatively short. Compared to my other skis, they're quite a bit shorter than my other skis. They come in two sizes, 125 centimeter and 145 centimeter. To be real honest with you, I don't think I would be pleased with the 125s at all. I weigh about 200 pounds, and the 145s, in order to get the loft that I need, I think would be necessary for me and for a lot of people my size or bigger. Again, they're about 5.5 inches wide, so they make up in width what they lack in length as far as loft is concerned. They have several different styles of bindings that you can use. The ones that I have are similar to some snowshoe bindings in that they're a ratchet type of binding. A little bit more difficult to get on and off than snowshoe bindings, but not too much. Same idea, and they work quite well. They do hold my feet snug down to the ski itself, allowing my heel to lift up just a little bit to get a little bit of that kick while I'm going through the woods. This has been a winter where we've had more snow than usual. It's a good opportunity to really put these things to the test. It's been a good winter in order to try to test these type of skis out. We've had a lot more snow than usual, especially here the latter part of January and through all of February. More snow than I've dealt with for a long time. The snowbanks in my yard at home are higher than I've seen in probably 20 years, 25 years. So if there was ever a time to really put a ski like this to the test, this was it. I had them out yesterday for a while. We just come off a real cold stretch of temperatures down in the minus 35 to 40 range for a few nights, along with periods of snow in between. So what we had was a fair amount of new, fresh, light snow, fluffy, not much moisture content in it. And so I tried them out yesterday under those conditions. And then today it's a little bit warmer. It's up to about 10 degrees outside right now. And the snow has compacted a little bit, and there's a little bit more moisture. The sun's been on it for a couple of days now, so they act a little bit different today than they did yesterday. Yesterday I was breaking trail the whole way. Most of it was on a snowshoe trail that I had packed several weeks ago that had about 15 inches of snow on it. And in all honesty, the skis worked really well on that. They're kind of advertised as being a combination snowshoe ski. So if you like the snowshoe, one of the problems with snowshoes is that if the snow gets too deep, you really have to lift those shoes high in order to get your next step. With these, you don't have to do that. As you're going along through that snow, and again, yesterday, a lot of what I went through was about 15 inches of snow. If you just tip your foot, the front of your foot upward a little bit as you push the ski forward, it'll ride up into the snow, and then as you come over the top of the ski, it presses down, and you get the loft from that. Now, over that kind of situation with the packed snowshoe trail and 15 inches of snow, I was probably sinking about 6 to 8 inches, and the ski was keeping me lofted that additional 7 or 8 inches above where the old packed trail was. They had a lot of grip. They didn't have much for glide at all, hardly anything. Even when I got back home and into my driveway and I was on a packed snow driveway, I didn't have much glide there as well. So because of the extreme cold and the low moisture content, I think they really drug probably more than they would normally do. They do have what's called a skin on the bottom, and back 40 years ago when I first started to do cross-country skiing, there were skis that were made with what they called mohair on the bottom, which was almost like a stiff bristle that was set in at an angle where if you were going forward, the hairs would lay down, and if you were climbing a hill, they would kind of distend down and give you some bite as you were climbing that hill. The skin on these is similar to that, except that it's a much thinner hair on there. They do work quite well as far as climbing is concerned, particularly if you have a couple of poles to help you a little bit. They are short enough that if the snow isn't too deep, you can herringbone quite easily going uphill if you need to. But I didn't find anything in the last 2 days of skiing where I had to worry about herringbone. I did take them yesterday through a little bit of unpacked snow. Was snow that had not had any travel over it, through some brush, just to see how they would handle in that deep snow and going through some brush. And I anything going through that deep snow, as you'll see here in a little bit, is going to be difficult. But as far as maneuvering through the brush with those short skis, it actually wasn't bad. It worked pretty well. It did give me some loft in that deep snow. I would say that we probably have 30 plus inches of snow at this point in time, and I probably had maybe 10 inches of loft. So I wasn't all the way down to the ground, but again, it was fresh snow that had not had any packing done, and so there was nothing below it in order to get some compression on. So that's what yesterday was like. I did have a couple of hills that I tried to go down. And again, with the dry snow yesterday, the low moisture content, and the cold conditions, they didn't want to glide down those hills. Today's a little bit different. As I said, the sun's been out for 2 days now. The snow's had a chance to pack a little bit. Just a minute. I'm here talking, and here comes a pine marten up to my blind. Just a minute. Well, excuse me for the interruption here, but and that pine marten come and play around here for a little bit. And in all honesty, that's one of the reasons why I have what I have out here, so that I get an opportunity to see and photograph those things a little bit. So it was a great experience having that pine marten come up and do that. That said, now I got to get back on the topic here, what I was talking about, and try to remember where I was when I left you. I think where I was at was that I was talking about this being a kind of a combination snowshoe ski, and in terms of using that as a description, it's pretty accurate. It is much easier on my legs, much easier on my hips in this deep snow to use these skis than it would be for the snowshoes. If I was trying to snowshoe in this snow today, it would be really difficult. I would be all in by the time I got back out of here. I'll be in good shape after this trip here. And I came in, I've done my little spiel out here. I'll wait around the snow and get some cards changed, and then I'll head back out on a track that's already, or a path that's already tracked, and it should be real easy getting out of here. So really what they're meant for. A couple of the areas that I am concerned about right now, and that is I spend a lot of time, if I'm going fishing or camping, going across lakes, and this year being no exception, slush is a real problem, and I'm not quite sure how that slush is going to affect its usage, if it's going to build up on these skis like it does any other skis and really cause them to be have less glide than what they do naturally, and how is that going to interact with that skin that's on the bottom? Is that going to clog up that and not allow you to be able to get rid of that ice as it builds up on the bottom? So I won't get that fleshed out as far as this usage of them, but that's something that if any of you have had any experience with that, please let me know, because that is something that concerns me a lot as far as what I have when I go into the backcountry. Now, just a little more of a background here. When I did my looking on YouTube, there are an awful lot of people who are doing mini reviews on these. Geez, I just got these, and I'm going to show you what they look like and how they work. And for the most part, they tended to be people who were less experienced as skiers. I had the impression that as far as some of the people were concerned, these were probably the first skis they had. And they were using them in their backyard. And in every case that I saw with that situation, they had very little snow. In some cases, it was just a patch of snow here and a patch of snow there, or maybe 3 or 4 inches of snow, in which case these would act much different than they do in this deep, heavy snow that we have here this year. The other type of YouTube video that was out there were people that were using them in the mountains and actually doing some telemark skiing with them in deep powder snow out there. And those are conditions that we don't have here that I am interested in knowing about. That's why it was so important for me to find a pair to try them out in conditions that I'm going to use them in. That being said, I'm not quite convinced that I'm going to buy a pair yet. I'm going to spend a little more time yet this afternoon using them. They do work as promised. I wish they had a tad bit more glide to them. They do give as much loft as my snowshoes do. I've got a pair of 10 by 24s. And they do give as much loft as they do. So equal balance there. The difference again being that the snowshoes and the type of conditions that you're seeing me skiing here, you got to lift that doggone shoe out of the snow every time before you put it back down. And that takes a lot of energy, and it's an awful lot of stress on knees and hips. So from that standpoint, I mean, it's a plus. They're a winner as far as that part of it is concerned. So If you have any comments, please put them below. If you have any experiences, please put them below. Again, I'm not interested in metro skiing, groom trail skiing, telemark skiing in the mountains. I'm not interested in that at all. I want some backcountry experiences in the boreal forest up here like you would find in northeast Minnesota. So I'm going to leave it here now with that. I might have a couple of comments after I go through this at home and see if there's anything that I've missed. But for the most part, I think you got an idea of what those things can do, and you can make your own choice on them. But I'm if I had a lot of money and I was 10 years younger, I'd buy them in a snap. My skiing days are not as numerous as they once were, and so my days out into the backcountry aren't as often as they used to be. But if I was going to be going out there like I was when I was 50, 55, 60 years old, I'd really strongly consider getting a pair of these. So that's the best recommendation I can give at this time for getting out once or twice a year. It may not be worth the money. I might just pass on them at this point in time and rely on my snowshoes and hope, cross my fingers, that we don't have another year like we have this year with as much snow as we have. So with that, I'll sign off for now, and happy skiing.